Well, Mayor Duggan's State of the City address last night was full of good news on the progress the city continues to make, but he also took some time to address a big problem.
And looming closer and closer, it's the nearly $500 million pension shortfall the city is facing, and he placed blame for that squarely on the city's former bankruptcy consultants and Kevin Orr. Our business editor Rob Maloney live tonight. Rob, the mayor said this may turn into a legal fight.
Yeah, there could be, but could is the operative term here. Now, let's do a quick pension 101, okay? Say you work for an employer, Detroit, for 30 years. At the end, they give you a regular benefit that they use a very special math calculation on. And so oftentimes you don't know that until it's time for you to retire. Now, the city needs to set aside, the employer, the city needs to set aside enough money to cover your pension and everybody else's. Where have we heard this before? They came up short. Well, they're using a company called Gabriel Roeder that's telling them that they're almost $500 million short, and they're going to figure out how to come up with that money.
But it is really hard to understand how consultants being paid $177 million can use outdated life expectancy tables. It's a real problem, and at least right now it looks like assumptions were put in to make numbers work that didn't work.
And unhappy, Mayor Mike Duggan in a vastly different mood than just over a year ago when the city exited bankruptcy, and he was all smiles taking the city's reins from Kevin Orr and company in a much happier time. Duggan has to live by Orr's budget, and there's not much extra, and whatever's there, like say $10 million a year now, will have to go into pensions that everyone thought were settled in the bankruptcy.
And it's become clear that Gabriel Roeder is using different assumptions than Kevin Orr's team used.
Well, nobody objected, or at least publicly, nobody raised a fuss when it came time for Judge Rhodes to consider and confirm the plan.
That's Local 4 bankruptcy expert and Plunkett County bankruptcy practice lead Doug Bernstein, who reminds that the mayor signed off on the bankruptcy plan over a year ago. And in the paperwork, there's something called the exculpatory clause, which means that you can't go back and sue after the bankruptcy ends unless you can prove that any mistakes were deliberate.
If somebody had it in for the city, that would appear to be the demonstration that the city has to make. It's an uphill battle.
Now, 2024 is when this money actually comes due, so the mayor says he's already setting money aside for this and trying to take care of it. The question becomes, do they really have a case? And the mayor says they're investigating that, and he says if in fact they do, there will be one. Back to you.
Well, and many will be wondering, as they may have last night when he first mentioned it, Kevin Orr's reaction to the second guessing here.
Well, you pick up the phone, you call Kevin Orr back at Jones Day. You know, remember the law firm that he worked for before he did the bankruptcy. I got him on the phone. You know what he said? No comment.
Wow.
As you might expect.
Yeah. Well, we'll see whether there's if we have another legal showdown looming ahead. All right, Rod Maloney reporting for us live downtown.